Hello everyone, welcome to Security and Encryption. Key Management Service is used to encrypt data using customer master keys provided by AWS. This will be our agenda. We'll have a little bit of encryption primer as per our pre-KMS talk. Then we'll discuss KMS components. We'll see how encryption and decryption process works with KMS. Then key policies which are used to manage access with KMS keys. As usual, we'll have a demo, KMS usage and pricing. We had encryption level 0 earlier. In this topic, we'll discuss encryption in a little bit more detail. Encryption is actually used to obfuscate the actual data or camouflage the actual data. In the worst case, if any bad guy gets hold of our sensitive data, it will not make any sense to them as all data will be encrypted or camouflaged or obfuscated. Various ciphers are used to encrypt data. There are two types of encryption. Encryption in transit or motion. SSL or TLS is used here. SSL is older version and TLS is the latest one. If you are planning for encryption in motion, always use TLS. Here we have a client that wants to send data to a server. This can be any server, database server, file server, or web server, or anything else. This is the data which has to be sent and it is sensitive in nature. Let's say our credit card number. But as data would travel over internet, there's high chance that your credit card number can go into wrong hands. So before sending, this data is encrypted and then sent over to the server. As you can see, data which was in motion was encrypted. Then you have encryption at rest. It is achieved by encryption keys. The data which has been sent to the server has to be stored in some storage media or the other. Data which has reached this server is encrypted in the server itself before storing it to the storage media. Encryption keys are used to encrypt data, be it in motion or at rest. There are two types of encryption keys. Asymmetric keys, which works as key pairs. That means there has to be two keys. They are called public and private keys. Public keys are used to encrypt data only, and private keys are used to decrypt data which was encrypted using the public key. This is our data, and we want to send this data over to a different location. But as data will travel over the internet, it has to be encrypted before being sent. We use public key to encrypt this data. From color green, it has changed to color red. That means that the data has been encrypted and no one can see this data as it is camouflaged. And this public key can be given to anyone. Whoever wants to send encrypted data over to the server, we can provide them with this public key. Then this encrypted data is transferred to the server over internet. As it was encrypted, no one can get the actual data. This can only be decrypted using a private key which is there in the server. Using private key, this data can be decrypted and used by the application which is being hosted in the server. Second type is the symmetric key. Using this, data is encrypted and decrypted using the same key itself. This is our data and a key can be used to encrypt this data and store it in the storage device. The same key can be used to decrypt this data as well. You must have noticed that encrypting data in motion with symmetric key is not a good option. Because if someone gets hold of this key, then all data can be compromised. Because the same key is used to encrypt and decrypt data as well. Does that mean that we should always use asymmetric key for encrypting data in motion? Well, there's a huge problem there. Look at this diagram. Typically, communication happens both ways, in all the cases actually. Let's say this is an application server or a web server and this is a database server. If application makes a query to the DB server, database server has to send data across to the app server. So how database server will encrypt data? As it has only the private key. Private keys are always used to decrypt data. That means DB server should also have the public key of client's key pair. Client will have the private key and will use that key to decrypt whatever data it receives from the database server. But there can be thousands of clients or maybe hundreds of applications, which make things really ugly. Think about it. Server should have the public key for all clients. Not only that, it should also keep track of which client it is sending data to so that correct public key is used. It adds a lot of complications and processing overhead at the server end, which is of course not desirable. There has to be a solution. Well, in motion data should always be encrypted with both the options. That is, combining both symmetric and asymmetric keys. This is the symmetric key which client has. This key can be used for both encryption and decryption. And client wants server to use this key to encrypt and decrypt data as well. But how does it send this key to the server? If it is sent over the internet without any protection, then anyone can get hold of this key. So client uses server's public key to encrypt this key. Then it is sent over to the server, which receives the encrypted key, and it uses its own private key to decrypt this and gets client's symmetric key. As this symmetric key was encrypted during its travel over the internet, it was perfectly safe. After this, only client and server has this key and no one else. Remember, this is client symmetric key, not servers. Next time onwards, when client wants to send this data, it can be encrypted using the symmetric key, send over to the server. Server will use the same symmetric key to decrypt this data. If server wants to send some response data, it can use the same symmetric key to encrypt it and send it to the client. Client will again use the same symmetric key to decrypt the data. It solves the purpose of all the complexities which we discussed a few minutes back. This type of encryption is used only for data in transit or motion. For data at rest, symmetric key should suffice. In this slide, I'll talk about concepts pertaining to encryption at rest. First is data encryption key or DEK. To encrypt this data, we'll use a key to get the encrypted data. This key is called data encryption key or DEK. Wait a minute, things are not over here. We need another component called customer master key or CMK. The DEK, which was used to encrypt data, is also encrypted using another key to get encrypted DEK. This another key is called customer master key or CMK. Typically, encrypted data and encrypted DEK are stored together in the same storage device, whereas the CMK or the customer master key is stored in a place called key management infrastructure or KMI. KMI is a very highly secured place. Keys can never leave the KMI unencrypted. In KMS, AWS manages the key management infrastructure for us. If this is not desirable, then you can use another AWS service called Cloud HSM, which is a KMI service provided to store CMKs. The final concept which we'll be discussing would be envelope protection. In envelope protection, we can use multiple encryption keys to encrypt DEKs and finally use a single CMK to encrypt the final encrypted DEK. Let me show what I mean here. This is our typical encryption at rest. Data is encrypted to DEK to get encrypted data. Then this DEK is encrypted again with another DEK, which is also called KEK or key encryption key. Key encryption key is just another name of DEK. This name is used to signify that it is being used to encrypt a data encryption key or DEK. It is exactly same as DEK, only difference is that it is used to encrypt a DEK. And we get level 1 encryption of our DEK. So DEK1 is the encrypted version of DEK, which is used to encrypt this data. Then the saga continues and we encrypt this DEK with another KEK to get DEK level 2. Then the final one, this time DEK level 2 is encrypted with a CMK or customer master key to get level 3 DEK, which is encryption of DEK level 3. I have stopped here, but you can continue doing so to get more secure encryption key infrastructure. What I mean by that, instead of using CMK here, you could have used another KEK to get DEK level 3 and you could have continued the same flow, but finally you have to use a CMK to get the final encrypted DEK. No matter how many levels you use, finally it has to be encrypted with a CMK. To get the decrypted data, we'll have to take the opposite cycle. That means we'll have to first decrypt this one to get DEK2, then we'll have to decrypt DEK2 to get DEK1, then DEK, and then we'll have to use this DEK with encrypted data to get our unencrypted data. KMS is used to store CMK. Few KMS concepts and terminologies. Customer master key can be used only to encrypt or decrypt 4 kilobytes of data or data keys. Using CMK, you can encrypt data also. But that is not typically used because you'll be using CMK to encrypt your DK, and your DK size cannot be more than 4 kilobytes. There are two types of CMKs. Customer managed CMKs are created, managed, and used by us. We create the key and we manage the key. Then we have AWS managed CMKs. These are created, managed, and used by AWS on our behalf. AWS managed CMKs start like this: AWS slash the service name, for example, AWS slash EBS, AWS slash RDS. These are the default CMKs which you can use, and we get default CMKs per service. We already know about data keys or DKs. Concepts are exactly the same that we have discussed. Envelope encryption is also similar to envelope protection. KMI or key management infrastructure is used to store the CMK safe or secret, which is a very tough job. AWS KMS creates and securely stores the CMKs or the customer master keys. If you want, you can use your own KMI residing in on-premise data center also. Or for that matter, another AWS can come in handy, which is called Cloud HSM. Plain text and ciphertext. Plain text is the data before encryption and ciphertext is encrypted data. This is how encryption is done using a key. This is the plain text data and this is the ciphertext data. The same can be said for DK or data keys also. Before encryption, DK is called plain text DK, and after encryption with CMK, it is called ciphertext DK. Let's see how the process of encryption and decryption is executed in KMS. First, the encryption process. This is the AWS service you are using. It can be anything: application in an EC2 instance, EBS volume, RDSDB instance, or anything else. And this service handles this data, which needs to be encrypted before storing, and the encryption has to be done by a KMS CMK. To encrypt data, this service will make a call to KMS. KMS will return key in ciphertext and also in plain text. This plain text DK will be used to encrypt this data and store it in a device. Plain text key will be in temporary storage like RAM. Once data encryption is done, plain text DK is removed from temporary memory. What about the ciphertext key? I told you earlier that encrypted DK is also stored with data. So encrypted DK or ciphertext DK will be stored in the same storage device as that of the encrypted data. Decryption process is just the opposite. This service wants to read this encrypted data. Data is stored along with the ciphertext key or encrypted DK. The key to decrypt this data is being stored in KMS. This service will again make a call to KMS along with the encrypted DK. KMS will return the plain text key or plain text DK, and this DK can be used to decrypt this data. Access to KMS keys are managed by key policies. Key policies are fancy names of resource-based policies attached to a CMK. IAM policies can also be used to manage access to CMKs, but these should be used along with key policies only. This is how a key policy would look like. There is nothing but a resource-based policy, which we already have discussed in our IAM session. It has a version ID, then the statement ID, and the effect. In the principle, we will mention the IAM credentials and the action, which actions are allowed, and the resource would contain the ARN of the KMS key.